I have recently found out that there's a great tennis association in Lee County, the Lee County Community Tennis Association, and it's doing a great job. It's attracting a lot of people into tennis and keeping people who were in tennis, staying in tennis, getting you moving. That's the thing I like about it, is getting you moving. That is a wonderful, beautiful sport. I played tennis in high school and in college, and of course I was a swimmer as well, but nothing like that tennis in terms of fitness, in terms of being out there in the sun, and just competition is just great. So I'm delighted to have here in the studio two people who are involved in it heavily, Barbara and Harriet. Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you.
Great. Harriet, how did this whole idea of getting more people involved in tennis come along in Lee County? Has it always been in place, or are you guys putting more energy around it?
15 years ago, there were 2 or 3 of the local tennis pros who wanted to provide after-school tennis to kids in the city. And they received a grant from the United States Tennis Association, and the rest is history. We now have over 1,000 children a year who are taking lessons, participating in tournaments at the 13 tennis facilities that are owned and operated by the Lee County Parks and Recreation Department.
Now, with the Lee County Parks and Recreation Department being involved in this process, how much of a high priority is tennis in terms of Lee County Parks and Recreation?
Tennis is one of our priorities, and the great thing about what we do, Lee, is that we partner with the Community Tennis Association by giving them the ability to program all of our tennis courts within the Parks and Rec system. So in effect, they're our contractor on the courts, and they're the ones responsible for delivering the services, and everybody gets, it's a win-win situation. Everybody gets to play tennis.
Now, Barbara, how would you describe the Tennis Association in simple words? How would you describe it?
They're a great partnership filled with volunteers who give their time to ensure that everyone in Lee County gets an opportunity to play tennis.
Talk about some of the achievements you've had, Harriet, so far with the Tennis Association.
I think what we're proudest of is that in 2010 we were selected as the Community Tennis Association of the Year by the USTA.
That's
and
national.
We're recognized in San Diego at the national conference for our achievements. So it's nice to have your work affirmed, and that was a very significant event in the 15-year history of the organization.
Now we see photos coming across the screen and seeing people out there enjoying the beauty of tennis. Now with this whole let's get moving, you know, Michelle Obama, obesity, let's get moving, tennis is the ideal way to get moving. Speak to that.
Tennis is one of those wonderful lifetime sports that you can begin at 4 and maybe die on the courts at 94. So you have the opportunity to be very much the master of your own physical fate. It also comes with a remarkable opportunity to meet some of the nicest people in the world, and those are the people that you play with and against.
Excellent. I wish I had begun, Barbara, at 4 years old. I would have probably been farther along. I got introduced to tennis at what I would consider a late age, around 10 years old. So people get started really early. What do you say for people who they may say it's too expensive to get my kids started at such a young age? What does the Tennis Association do to help out in terms of the cost?
Well, one of the things that was very important to us in Parks and Recreation was making tennis affordable to all children. So what we have is we have a combination of programs. First of all, our tennis courts are public, so you can certainly just go and play. The Tennis Association helps out by giving all children who don't have the opportunity various equipment like rackets and shoes and balls. And of course we're focusing on, we've built a lot of courts around the county recently, particularly in some of the neighborhoods that wouldn't normally have tennis, to introduce those children to tennis.
And the neighborhoods that would normally have tennis are usually minority communities and disadvantaged communities, economically disadvantaged. We can say that out loud on the show. So, and with the Williams sisters and other culturally diverse people playing tennis now, it's a real popular sport. You have a lot of great athletes in those communities that actually play other sports. Now they get the opportunity to be introduced to tennis. Speak to that and how important that is.
It's very important, and I think the evidence of it is over at our park at Chandler Hall, which is on Palm Beach Boulevard. We started the same program that Arthur Ashe started in the way back in the communities up north in New York and New Jersey. We started tennis right in the parking lot.
Excellent.
And we had the USTA helping us to bring in portable nets and equipment, and the Community Tennis Association. So we got those kids over on Palm Beach Boulevard playing tennis originally on the parking lot, and they now have tennis courts in that park.
Outstanding. And Harriet, I mentioned early on that I got started in the Arthur Ashe program, the National Junior Tennis League, when I was a kid, and that they gave us some free tennis balls and a little, what I grew up to find out was a little cheap racket, but I loved my racket. And I'm looking at people on television right now having a good time. To get started in tennis, you don't have to be an expert. You don't have to be fundamentally sound and great footwork and all that. You guys work on that. You have classes and things like that that get people up to speed.
Actually, we have tennis players in wheelchairs. We have tennis players who are challenged in almost every way you can think of, being old being one of those. The cost factor is very affordable. There are tennis programs that we fund at no expense to the players in 6 of the parks for the after-school programs. So several hundred children every week get tennis lessons and instruction that is part of their club rec experience. For $8, a child can become part of a clinic and receive tennis instruction from a tennis professional.
Outstanding.
You can become a member of a league. $35 gets you involved in a whole season of USTA junior team tennis. So the affordability is an important part of our work.
So you go to that website and all those details are there.
Yes.
Final question, and we'll go back over here to Barbara. If you know it, what events do you have coming up now? Any particular things upcoming planned or?
In tennis?
Yeah, I see here.
Absolutely. I'm going to leave that to Harriet. I'm going to turn that back over to Harriet.
Well, one of our new initiatives that we're very excited about is that we are hoping that Lee County will become a significant tennis destination for Southwest Florida and the nation. And a part of that is bringing tournaments to the community. It has an economic development impact as well as opportunity for players and competitors. The
weather's great too.
And the weather is absolutely wonderful. So actually our next tennis event is going to be a Super Series junior tournament that will be held in August. And not a CTA operation, but certainly one of the premier tennis events in the state is the Florida Open, which is sponsored by the Landings Tennis Association this year. So in June, there will be over 500 junior players arriving from all over the country to come to Lee County to play.
Okay, ladies, it's been a pleasure having you both on the show.
Thank you.
My director is wrapping me up. And whatever you have to do, Rick, just make it happen. So as the saying goes on this particular show, for those who say it can't be done, they're usually interrupted by those like Harriet and Barbara and all the people who are associated with the Lee County Community Tennis Association who are doing it. We'll be right back.